All right, now we have got a taster of all 18 teams after seeing them all play. We are on to round two previewing, but again, it's a minimised round two, and we will talk about that later on because this is just disgraceful. But without further ado, let's preview all the matches heading into round two. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Up the Guts podcast. Joining as always is your host, Trent the Ultimate. Some of you might know me as Tricky. And yes, not to start the positive on a negative, a podcast on a negative, but I have a problem with the AFL. Okay? My problem is, why do we have buys already in round two? We're going into round two. Brisbane, Carlton, Collingwood, and Geelong all have buys. What is going on? I get it's played in opening round, but why have we only seen them for 2 games and then think, all right, let's dish them out a bye? It is disgraceful. This is why opening round needs to be scratched as of 2027, or everyone needs to be playing. And then just have one bye in the middle of the season. Because round two for a bye after 2 games play is just ridiculous. Like, I can't even comprehend. They've had a couple of months already off of a break. You can't tell me that they need another break. It just flabbergasts me. Like, why are they having a bye already? So those 4 teams will be not playing this week. But let's get into previewing the teams that will be playing, starting off with Thursday night. Let's go. All right, Thursday night. This should be an absolute cracker. Finally, a good Thursday night game. We've got the Hawks and the Swans. Now, this one will be it's an interesting game because it's at the MCG. We know the Sydney Swans have started out on fire. Errol Gould's already been ruled out. And Isaac Heaney, his scans have said that there's nothing extreme to his hamstring. It was just hamstring awareness and a bit of tightness. But off a 5-day break, I don't think he'll play, and I think Sydney would be stupid to risk him possibly doing any more damage to it with the superstar that Isaac Heaney is. You've already started 2-0. Do they get a bye? I'd imagine they get the bye. If all those teams have the bye, they'll get the bye. Yeah, so they'll get the bye next week as well. Just give him the 2 weeks off. Just absolutely give it to him the 2 weeks off. He's too valuable of a player to have injured and playing when he's not at 100%. No, he can play not 100%, but I think you could potentially just do more damage. So I think just rest him, especially because it's only off a 5-day break. Now, the Hawks responded in a really, really big way against Essendon last week, and it was really good to see their midfield was flying. Looked like they were moving the ball a bit better. Still maybe a question, if Jack Gunston doesn't pop up, who's going to be the forward that pops up to kick those goals? But being at the MCG, I'm trying to think. McCartan down there, Amani, Kennett. I'm going to back the Hawks in purely because I think Goulden and Heaney, Goulden's definitely not there and I don't think they'll play Heaney, but I'm only going to do it by 10 points for that one. So the Hawks in a close one in Thursday night footy. All right, Friday night, we head over to the Adelaide Oval to find the Crows v. the Bulldogs. Now, the Bulldogs have looked absolutely scary coming in to this season. Started off on fire, 2 wins off the bat. Then Adelaide got their first win in their first game against the Pies at the MCG. They actually shocked me a bit. Their pressure was enormous. Their backline's always been good, but it's good to see Wayne Malira really doing it. Josh Roll just backing up his season last year. But I thought what was really evident was their pressure around the ball. But I do question too, when I said it in the main app, so you haven't seen that, go back and watch that. If they don't bring that pressure around the ball, teams' midfielders will run through it. And those teams are like Western Bulldogs. Bontempelli, Ed Richards, Tom Liberatore, Matt Kennedy, who else am I missing? Joel Frazier will run through there. Those type of players. And then Tim English, who plays as a ruck, then pushes as a forward. Then they've got the beast down there in Darcy and Norton. Norton coming off of 6 goals and Darcy coming off for It'll be interesting to see if they have someone that runs with Ed Richards or Bontempelli. I'd assume they'll go more the Ed Richards one that seemed to work last week when that was done last week. Who went to Ed Richards last week? If we just pull that up. Yeah, I can't remember exactly who went to him, but they did go to him. And let me just pull up some of Ed Richards' stats. So he was kept to 19 disposals. So I think Ed Richards is the one because he's that one who gets plenty of meters gained, hits the scoreboard, and just he's elite kicking around the ball. Around the ground, is so crucial to how the Western Bulldogs attack moving forward. He can get it done at both ends. He can do it from half back and then push forward and impact the scoreboard. It's going to be a tough one for the Bulldogs being at the Adelaide Oval, but I think the Bulldogs can start 3-0 here. So I'm actually going to back the Bulldogs in. Are they surprisingly, they're actually the favourites. It's not surprising with the fact the way they've started, but on PointsBet, they are $1.87 to the Western Bulldogs $1.90, but ESPN Footy tips 55% of people so far tip the Crows to 45% the Bulldogs, but the bookies of PointsBet have the Bulldogs as just favourites, and I'm going to be backing the Bulldogs. I would have said in as somewhat of an upset, but if the bookies have them favourites, I guess you can't call it an upset, but I think the Dogs in a close one here as well. To kick off Saturday, we head to the MCG, 1:15 p.m, and it's Richmond v the Gold Coast Suns, the scary Gold Coast Suns. They'll be a bit disappointed. I know Damien Harley will be a bit disappointed that they didn't put West Coast away as much as they would have liked. I think the stats say that the West Coast even might have won the second half, and I mentioned it was good to see West Coast not fall over and just let it be 100+ smashing. And I think the Gold Coast Suns will want to prove a point this week with getting on top of the Tigers, but keeping the foot on the throat. I think that will be a big message from Damien Harley during the week. Be ruthless. Don't let these teams back into the game. So I'm going to be backing the Gold Coast Suns quite comfortably. I'm saying it's going to be a 10+ goal victory to the Gold Coast Suns. And just quietly, how good's Christian Petrarca being? Like, I know I keep saying, but Brownlow watch, and I don't think they have anyone that can rub with that midfield. And Ben King's on a heater. I don't know who they'll have to stop him. So, yeah, Gold Coast Suns in by about 10 goals. Then we head over to the NG Stadium at 4:15 p.m. for the Giants v the Saints. Now, the highly talked about Saints, I wouldn't say a highly promised, but the highly talked about with the recruits that were coming to see how exciting they would be. They've lost in 2 close games, okay? They're coming up against GWS, who are banged up. But I don't see the Saints winning this purely because it's at NG Stadium. Where they can possibly try and get on top is TDK getting on top in the ruck up against Kieran Briggs. I think Kieran Briggs had that one good season after that, has been not great. These new rules aren't going to favour him. So I think if TDK can get on top in the ruck, if I'm having a look, who would be their tagger? I'm just trying to look because they'll probably run someone with Nasiah. I'm not sure, but they'll run someone with Nasiah because they know this has that has worked in the start of this season. But I think if TDK can get on top of the ruck and give the first grabs to if Nasiah is not there, to Sam Flanders and someone who needs to be spending more time in the middle in Max Hall. I was going to say Mason Hall, someone who I commentate local footy. But Max Hall needs to be spending more time in the middle. So if TDK can get on top of the ruck, I think could have a big say in the Saints winning this. But I am going to be tipping the Giants because that's home. And they are pretty heavy favourites, $1.44 to the Saints, $2.65. And I'm going to be backing the home team, the Giants, to get it done. All right, Saturday night, just the one game. And we head over to Perth in Optus Stadium. And we're coming up with the Dockers v the Demons. The Dockers were really disappointing last week. Not that they performed badly, but the way that they lost when they were well in control of the game. And Jocelyn Longmuir, I'm sick of him saying about the opening round thing. That did not have a factor in the why you lost. You guys just let Geelong overrun you in key moments. That was the reason you lost. Melbourne with a really good win against the Saints and look exciting, but coming up against Freo in Perth is never going to be an easy sight. I'm interested to see the Pickets go out again. Latrell looks really exciting, but I think this midfield of the Fremantle will get well on top of Melbourne. I'm going to be interested to see the Luke Jackson and Max Gawn battle, two former teammates, and we saw Max Gawn run TDK off his legs and was the real crucial factor into why Melbourne won that game last week. But Luke Jackson's a different beast. He's more of an athlete, in my opinion, than TDK is. I don't think Max will just be able to run him off his legs, and Luke Jackson then becomes that extra midfielder. So I'm interested to see that battle and how that one plays out. And I'm going to be back in Freo quite comfortably at home in a big response to their poor performance at the end of last week. Just the two games on Sunday. In the first one, we head over to the Adelaide Oval at 3:15 p.m. start. Geez, that's a late start for a Sunday game. But it is Port Adelaide v Essendon at the Adelaide Oval. And let's not beat around the bush. I think Port Adelaide get this done quite easily, purely because it's at the Adelaide Oval. But Port, they didn't look great, did they? But I'm going to be backing them purely because it's at home. I think Zach Butters, in particular, I was going to say Zach Butters and Connor Rosie, but more in particular, Zach Butters will not like the way that North got well on top of them and the way they've been talked down upon. He's penciled Zach Butters in for a massive performance, 30 plus and a goal in this one, about 8 clearances. He'll lay six plus tackles. I reckon he's in for a monster game this one, and he'll guide Port Adelaide over the line for their first win of the season against the Bombers. In the last game of the round, 6:10 p.m, we head out to Perth again, Optus Stadium, and it's West Coast v North. Now, this might actually be an interesting game. We saw North get the first win in their first game of the season and looked really impressive against Port Adelaide. They're coming up against West Coast, who lost pretty convincingly, but were admirable in their second half against the Gold Coast Suns on the weekend. Two teams, I think North has well and truly gone past them. But this one's at Perth. How are they going to go against it being at Perth? And I'm stuck at who I want to tip here. The bookies do have, PointsBet do have North Melbourne $1.50 favourites to the West Coast, $2.60, $2.60. I'm trying to think. No. You know what? I'm going to back North in to go 2-0 to start this season. I'm on the North train. I hope they can be better, and I don't think it's West Coast's time yet, so I'm going to be backing the Kangaroos in this one. Well, there's all my tips and predictions for round 2. Let's quickly go over who I tipped. Thursday night, I've gone the Hawks narrowly by 10 points. Friday night, I'm going the Bulldogs in a surprise win, in my opinion, over Adelaide at the Adelaide Oval. Saturday, I'm going Gold Coast over the Tigers. GWS over St Kilda, Fremantle over Melbourne, Port Adelaide over Essendon, and North Melbourne over West Coast. Thank you guys for listening and watching along. If you're watching this on YouTube, please make sure to leave a like and comment on this video, because that does, the algorithm's really liking that, so make sure you guys do that. If you are enjoying all this content, make sure to hit that subscribe button while you're there and turn the notification bell on so you're notified whenever we upload. If you're one of our valuable audio listeners and you listen to this via Spotify, Apple Podcasts, make sure to leave a like and comment on this episode. Hit that follow button, turn the notification bell on so you're notified whenever we upload. Share this off to a fellow mate who's a diehard footy fan as well. And please, guys, remember, most importantly, if you are enjoying this show and any AFL content coming around from here, make sure to leave a 5-star rating on this show, as that does help push the show out there to newer listeners. Thank you guys for watching and listening along, and until next time, I'll see you guys then.